Great. So again, thank you, everybody. And we are going to cover a really great tool today. We are going to be going over LinkedIn. Now, I want to really find out quickly by a show of hands. If you have your cameras on, raise your hand. Otherwise, use the hand raise in Teams. How many of you know what LinkedIn is? Give me a hand raise. Great. Wonderful. Now, second question on top of that, and you can either keep your hand raised or just put a 1 in the chat. Do you have a LinkedIn profile? Excellent. All right. You are all in the right spot today. Women in Leadership is so happy to take this moment to equip all of us on ramping up our LinkedIn presence and how to best utilize LinkedIn, not only for our career advancement, but also for networking and how we can support each other using recommendations. So what we're going to have today, hold on, sorry. I need to just turn off audio on my phone here so that I can be uninterrupted. And what we're going to do today is we have a special guest joining us to talk about how to best use LinkedIn. And we have with us today Ms. Ebony Lloyd. Ebony Lloyd is a Manhattan Borough Manager for the Bureau of Customer Services, BCS, at New York City Department of Environmental Protection, also known as DEP. In her role, she leads as a she leads a team of customer service representatives that facilitate the collection of water and sewer bills and the issuance of permits for all work required to maintain our citywide network of meters and meter reading devices. So throughout her career, Ms. Lloyd seized the opportunity to contribute as a subject matter expert, project coordinator, project manager, and several agency strategic initiatives and projects. She is award winning. She has been part of the 2013 she was recognized by the White House for her DOC project team. Also a recipient of the 2019 Mayor's Excellence in Customer Service Award. So with that, let's take the time now to welcome Ebony as she leads us on how to best brand ourselves in LinkedIn. Welcome, Ebony.
Well, thank you for that welcome. Sometimes it feels so good to hear your bio because you forget your contributions. And thank you so much. And I am happy to be here with you guys today to talk about LinkedIn. I am a customer service girl through and through. I'm not sure if you guys got an opportunity to review the flyer and saw that I know I was just introduced as the borough manager, but if you see my LinkedIn profile, it says that I am a customer service scientist. So I am going to tell you why it says that. And that's going to kind of just kick off talking about LinkedIn branding, right? Because when you go on LinkedIn, it's not just your digital resume, right? You want to brand yourself. You want to let people know who you are, but you also want to let them know what you do. And you want to show up authentically like yourself. I think that when it comes to your personal brand on LinkedIn, it has to reflect who you are, but it also has to bridge that gap between who you are and what you do. And I think I find a great playful way of doing that with introducing myself, one in my tagline as a customer service scientist. And the reason why I decided to do that is because I think customer service, because it's one of those industries that you find across every organization, across every agency, we really don't get the just due that we need, right? It's like, oh, customer service, but I think it's a science to being in customer service, right? It's some strategy there. You're not just answering the phone and helping a customer and that's it and reading from a script. You're really helping to increase the customer satisfaction. You're helping to move that customer along in their journey. And when you have a tagline that has but so many characters, how do you express what it is that you do to everyone who's going to have eyeballs on your LinkedIn page, right? So there's a couple different things that I want you guys to when you're doing your LinkedIn, or if you're going to go in afterwards and create one, that's great. If you have one now and you want to just go ahead and enhance it, there's a couple things that I want you guys to pay attention to. So the core elements of a strong LinkedIn brand. First and foremost is going to be your profile photo. That is the first impression that anyone has of you, right? You want a clear, professional, but approachable photo, right? So when you go in there, make sure that it's not overly filtered, that you don't have too much busyness in the background, right? That people can see front and center who you are by that picture. The second thing that's important as a core element is your headline, right? So that is your digital billboard, if you will, right? So if you go to Broadway and you see the person's name in lights, that's the first thing that they're going to see after they see your picture, right? So you want it to be used more than just your job title, right? You want it to tell people what you do and how you do it. It has to be very succinct because you have but so many characters. However, there are some people that you see on LinkedIn and they have stories or they have sentences in there and they tell you exactly what they do, what they can help you with, how they show up. You can do that as well, but as long as it just gives a clear, crisp, succinct picture of what it is that you do. Then you have your about section, and that's your story. So a lot of people in their about section, what they do is they go and they copy and paste exactly from their resume. And that's something, it's not the most creative way to kind of boost engagement on LinkedIn. You want to use your about section to kind of tell your story. You want to speak in first person. You want to highlight your passions and your purpose, right? Because if employers are looking at you on LinkedIn and you go to speak to a recruiter or someone reaches out to you, you're going to send them your resume. But what you want to do here in your about section, you want to leave them with something memorable. I think it's also good to put numbers and facts in there, right? So if you're someone who leads a team who you brought in $1.6 billion doing a certain project, right? You can put that information in there because that's going to stop people in their tracks and they're going to see, hey, this is the contribution that Ebony has made to her industry or to her agency or to her organization, right? Then you have your experience. Your experience, that's what you've done, right? You want to focus on your impact, right? Not just your duties. Again, this is a section 2 that you can use metrics and outcomes to just explain what it is that you do or you've done in your previous roles as well. You have your
So, Ebony,
skills. Yes.
sorry, Ebony, I'm going to just take a moment because you're covering a lot of great information and I want to give everyone a visual of what that looks like. So I'm going to take a moment and share my screen and show your profile, your LinkedIn profile, so that as you're going through those different points, everyone can get the visual of what that's about.
Okay. Thank you. So while doing that, I think it's something I'm glad that you brought the screen up, because one thing that I skipped over is the banner, right? So you see my banner right behind my picture says "Drink It In." Because I work for the New York City Department of Environmental Protection, I'm also branding myself. We know LinkedIn, that is your space to connect with other professionals, right? It's different from Facebook, it's different from Instagram. This is where your professional lives live. So in wanting to everybody to know that I work for DEP and kind of just highlighting DEP for what we're known for is for having the best water, right? And I'm a little biased here, guys, right? So if anybody here lives in another state, New York State has the best drinking water, hands down. Do not argue me, do not debate me. But I want to put something that lends to the brand of the agency that I work for, right? So that pops, it's the blue color. It has everything to do with our logo. It's not just the DEP's logo, because if you go to DEP's page, you'll be able to see that, right? It's something that pops and that shows you this is what who I work for. Also, something as fun and playful as a emoticon or emoji, I have the little water spout inside of my headline as well. Right. So going back to the core elements, after you put in your experience, remember, focus on what you do, but also put some metrics in there as well. And you go to your skills, right? You want to highlight your strengths, right? You want to align your current role and your future goals as well, right? The banner image, just discuss that. You have some different spots on there where you can feature what it is that you've done. Like right after this meeting today, I'm going to feature today's Women in Leadership flyer as one of the things that I contributed to, right? Because that goes along with my brand, right? I'm a woman, I'm in leadership. This is what I think is important. I want to highlight that for people who visit my page to be able to see some of the things that I've done, some of the accolades that I've received, right? So when we have these awards that you get in your agency, they can live on your refrigerator at home, they can live on your desk in your office, but they also should live in LinkedIn as well, right? Because you want to show people what you've accomplished in your agency. So all of those accolades that you have, you want to put it there. If you worked on any big project, and I must say this, sorry, let me just go back. Some of the things that we do in city government is proprietary. And some of the things we cannot share with the LinkedIn community. So if it's one of those things when you can't share, please do not share at all. But if it's something that you can share, you want to put that up on LinkedIn. I think one of the things that helps with me as well, since I'm in customer service, I always try to find a consortium. So I go to different agencies and I find out who are their customer service people that work in that agency. And I connect with those folks, right, to see what are the best practices? How can we help one another? How can we network? What can we do to make sure that we're I'm very enthusiastic about what I do. I love working for city government. I love that we help so many people across different backgrounds and different cultures. So that's just ingrained in me. So I always want to look to see how I can connect with other people in my same exact industry, and other industries too, but initially in my same industry to kind of get that message across, right? So after you brand yourself and you're posting what you do and how you contribute, you can put a few things in there too that's personal, right? There's some rules behind LinkedIn. We don't want to use it as Facebook, but you can put some personal accomplishments too. People use that to put if they've graduated from school, if they're starting a new job, if you're starting a new school, if you're starting a new endeavor, right? All of that lives in the LinkedIn world. But I think once you present yourself as to what you do and how you do it, the next thing that I think is going to be important is how you engage with the community. So I have a few tips on engaging with the community, but I have been told that I can go on without any breath. So I want to kind of take a pause for a moment. And I want to ask,
Absolutely.
does anybody have any questions? Is anything I said not clear? Do you need me to expound on anything that I've said thus far?
So I am seeing a couple of hands raised, so thank you for bringing in that moment for questions. Monet, your hand is raised. Do you have a question? Uh,
She
okay.
says
Nope.
no.
All
Okay.
right. So Karen, you're up. You have a question.
No apologies. I believe that was just because I had left my hand raised when we did the
Oh,
poll
from
earlier.
earlier. Yep. Got it.
So far,
No
so good.
worries.
I'm on
All
board. So
right.
far, so
Awesome.
good.
Okay. That works. So, all right. Awesome. Yes, Savita, you have a question. Go ahead.
Yes, I do. For Ebony, so how do you balance putting out your personality on LinkedIn profile versus how you put it out on other social media platforms? Because listening to you, it all sounds great, right? But sometimes we
Hmm.
have a persona for work, we have a persona for our personal life, and then we have a persona for our friends. So
Hmm.
when you're on LinkedIn, you might have your colleagues, your friends, even your family, or people you literally don't know, they're just in your network. How do you balance putting out your personality? Do you blend or do you stick to a particular kind?
Well, so it is a balancing act. So that is a great question, right? Because it in the beginning it was a little hard to navigate because you would have people on LinkedIn, and some people on LinkedIn can get really aggressive. You see some posts where they say this is not Facebook, right? This is not Instagram. So a couple of rules or tips that I use is I don't post a lot of personal pictures, right? I have something where I call like Friday, you know how we have casual Fridays in some agencies, right? So sometimes on casual Fridays, and I don't have a dress code at DEP, but I dress up every day on Fridays. I do tend to dress down. So on Fridays, I'll make my post a little bit more playful, a little bit more casual. That's the day that may post the picture. However, what I say to myself is, how does this connect to the overall LinkedIn community, right? How does this connect to what I do? How does this connect to people who are out there looking for jobs and what the actual platform is used for. So what I do is I'm a person who I love mantras. I get up every day and I have to see something that's inspirational. It gets me going. And I said to myself, you know what, since that works for me, I can put across those messages on LinkedIn, right? Because that's selling hope. You have a lot of people on LinkedIn who are looking for jobs and they've been looking for a very long time. And you've seen posts where, or you'll see posts where people are saying, guys, I'm not in the best space. It's been a long time that I've been looking for work. And even though the post that I'm putting up that's telling you to keep going doesn't necessarily tie into finding a job, it's giving someone hope. So what I say is, if it works for me, it makes me happy. If I can make one other person happy by posting this, even though it's not necessarily job related, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So one of the things that I do for engagement, just transitioning into that, is that I make sure to post on LinkedIn every single day. Right. I do at least one post a day. I am in a few different LinkedIn groups, right? So you can join communities that's relevant to your work, right? You can join communities that's relevant to your hobbies. If you are a photographer on the side and you join a community that talks about photography, you'll get experts that'll tell you how to get into the field if you're looking to pivot. You'll get experts that tell you how to purchase things at a discounted rate, how to join different networks to give yourself visibility. So I joined some of the groups to express myself creatively where I wouldn't put certain information on the LinkedIn page. So that's how I'm able to express myself in the groups. But I definitely share on LinkedIn once a day. I have a couple of different calendars. As I look around my workspace at home, I'm seeing different things that I have that is just reminding me to keep going. You've got this. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. So I have little sayings everywhere. So every day I look through my calendar, it gives me a saying, I snapshot it, I send it out to the LinkedIn world. Then I post about different challenges that you may have and just how to get through it. So that's just my personal brand and always trying to help people and uplift people. I've been able to transition that into LinkedIn really well. But if you find that you have a niche that you don't think is going to transition well to LinkedIn, what I would say is go into the groups, find that space, find your community, find your tribe, and then you'll be able to find a home for some of those posts. Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much, Ebony. That was very enlightening. Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. You want to also with engagement tips, right? Because it's no rules for it. You'll see different things on LinkedIn, but you want to uphold a positive image because what you say on your page is going to directly connect back to the agency that you work for, right? So you want to share any lessons learned, you want to share key takeaway, you want to share any type of leadership or customer journey successes and reflections, right? Something that people can connect with because they're doing it as well. You can post event photos. I know that you guys at DPR, you do a lot of things out in the community, right? So you want to go ahead and you can go onto your parks page and you can forward and submit some of the things that you see on there with your personal thoughts about it as well. In any kind of behind the scene insights, you want to tag colleagues if you can and uplift others' work, right? You also want to be consistent. I say I post 1 to 2 a day, but I have a strategy, right? So I post the calendar quote of the day every single day. And then I go in and I post something that has to do with probably if it's the beginning of the week, midweek, or Friday, kind of like getting you set up. If you're stuck into a rut, here's how you do that. So I have a little bit of a formula, but 1 to 2 posts a month could really make a difference in your engagement as well.
I like that you brought that up, Ebony, because that actually is a great transition into the next bit that we want to cover is about how to use LinkedIn to make and also to set so people understand how to receive recommendations. So are you, if you still have time with us, let's using your profile as an example about making recommendations and also how to acknowledge and have those recommendations appear on your post. Are you game for that?
I am game for that. Yes, I am.
All
I'm
right, so I'm
with
going
you
to
all the
share.
way.
Awesome. So I'm going to share my screen again. Give me a moment. All right,
Did I
so
lose
screen
you?
is, yep, nope, I'm here. I realized I was muted the entire time, so nobody heard a
Okay.
word I said. All right, so in the screen share here, so as you noticed for everyone before when I was showing Ebony's profile, there was a little click on there for her because she invited me to be part of her network. So she is now part of my network. So I'm going to go to my LinkedIn page and we're going to go over how to make a recommendation. So scrolling down to recommendations. Great. So you would go to the recommendations section and then you can.
So you go to the recommendation
Yep.
section.
Sorry,
Sorry.
I hit edit by mistake. Yeah. And then you'll click the plus.
Yes.
And then we can give a recommendation. So I'm going to give Ebony a recommendation.
Oh, wow.
So now the thing is with recommendations, the people who you are giving recommendations to need to be part of your network. So
Yes.
if you are if you're an introvert type, meaning that you've held your LinkedIn profile close to your chest, you know that there are other folks in your in the agency that have LinkedIn profiles as well, but you've been trying to hide under the radar. I can tell you as a former LinkedIn introvert that it works against you if you do not allow your agency, your fellow parkies to see you and know that you're there. Because then they can't post that recommendation. And once recommendations are posted, it's there. The internet is forever. So even if it's somebody in the moment, they gave you high praises and the next day they don't want to know you, that's okay. Their glowing recommendation stays on your profile. Huzzah. So
Isn't that amazing?
yes. So I typed in Ebony's name. I'm going to go ahead and click continue. So now this is where you can specify the relationship. This is where Ebony was talking about when you're listing your accomplishments, what you've done, what you've participated in. Everything that Ebony has listed is here. So I can pick from what she's already highlighted to make the recommendation based on that. So I think I'm going to go with worked in the same group. Let's see if we can get that. No, so worked in the same group, that is not showing up here. But actually, Ebony, I'm going to go ahead and just select the deputy director position for you. So when making the recommendation is something that you would have to coordinate more than likely with the individual if you're not seeing the position type and the time in which you're making the recommendation for. This is one thing that really allowed LinkedIn to be accepted as a credible resource. This is why businesses and employers are looking at LinkedIn profiles when people are applying for jobs or bidding for projects, because LinkedIn has fine-tuned themselves so that people aren't just arbitrarily putting in a random recommendation, not based on any form of interaction. So here, the pleasure. Presentation, so I can't type. Whoops, exclamation point. There it is. That's it. It could be simple. You could be as brief or as broad as you want to. What's great is LinkedIn does give you a character limit of 3,000 characters. So once you've done that, you click send. Ebony will then get a notification that it was there, and then she can then on her own decide whether or not to post it. And for any on your own profile, what you'll do is you would see this show all pending, and then that will show all of the recommendations that have already been given or received, and then you can decide whether or not you want that to be displayed on your public-facing LinkedIn profile. Ebony, anything else you want to add about recommendations?
Yes, I think that's what I did in the beginning. When I first started my page, I went there. One good thing is you click the plus button and it gives you the opportunity to ask for a recommendation. So you can simply, if you know you worked with someone and you did well on a project, or if you've spoken to them in advance and said, "Hey, would you mind, giving me that accolade you just gave me? Would you mind putting that on LinkedIn?" And they say yes, you can just ask for the recommendation. Like Michele just said, you have to have them in your network. You can search for the person and then you can submit it to them. So all they do is they get something in their inbox that says, "Hey, Ebony asked for a recommendation," and they'll go ahead and they'll take it from there. Right. And they'll put the recommendation in. And just like Michele said, once it's ready for you to review, you can review it and accept it and publish it to your page, or you can reject it. But I guess in this situation, you wouldn't reject it. And because people are so busy, no one is just going ahead and writing recommendations without it being solicited, unless they are really into LinkedIn and they know what type of impact it makes. Then you'll see something in your inbox saying, "Hey, such and such gave you a recommendation," because they know the impact that these recommendations make. So it's as simple as just asking someone, adding them, sending it to them, and then they'll do it, and you'll be able to publish it on your page. And like you said, once that's published, what happens with LinkedIn, what I love about it is that Michele giving me a recommendation, right? What her network sees that she's engaged with me. And if for any reason someone on her network that I don't know says, "Hey, I like that post," they can come, they'll find my LinkedIn and they'll add me. Right. So, like some of us are on, please, guys, feel free to go to my LinkedIn page, send me a friend request, let's connect. But things like this, you kind of build your community. Or if you are engaging with your coworker, like Michele says, don't hide from your parkies, right? If you see them there, even if you haven't connected, like one of their posts, and it'll show that you've liked their post. If someone else in the network goes, "Oh, you know what? I know that person. Let me go and see what their page is about." That'll bring engagement to your page as well. So even if you feel a little shy first to start posting, if you just start engaging and really just replying to what people are posting, you will be seen as well. So you don't have to engage as much with your own personal post, but if you engage with something that inspires you, people will see you. You'll have eyeballs on your page. So you can take it
Thank
slow.
you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Catherine, I see you have a question.
Yeah, thanks so much for this presentation. I'm curious, as you're engaging and, as you just mentioned, we have, people you might not know ask to be part of your network. Sometimes I find it's hard to distinguish between folks who are like solicitors, who are kind of doing that in a more kind of marketing kind of way and not genuinely interested in being part of a peer exchange or network in that sense. So how do you navigate that?
Well, you're right. Just like we have our cybersecurity, we have to take monthly guys. We have people who are not the best actors and they've made their way over to LinkedIn. So I don't know. I think everybody now are getting those little spam text messages that said, "Hey, we're a recruiter. We ran across your page and we want to offer you a job making $3,000 an hour for 20 minutes." And we go, this doesn't sound realistic. You have the same people doing that on LinkedIn. So in your LinkedIn mailbox, you'll notice you'll have a drop down where you can put people in what you call the focused or the other groups, just like I think we have that on Outlook as well, the updated Outlook. So if you're getting things from people who are soliciting and you don't feel like these people are real, one, you can block them if you want to, or two, you can put them into your other profile so that you don't have them mixed in with people who you really want to engage with or people who are reaching out to you because they need something and it's hard for you to keep track because you have all of these other bots or non-human interactions that are just sending you spam, so to speak. So I have a focus group. And what happens now is once I started to put people in my focus, LinkedIn, the algorithm understands and it'll just automatically put people into my other that it thinks that I don't know or they're not connected with me. And I can go into other and move them over if I want to, but I still get all of the messages. So that's how you can filter out for people who are, not trying to reach out to you for anything that's going to be productive or constructive.
Thank you, Ebony.
You're welcome.
And Rita, you have a question.
Yes. Oh, sorry. I thought I was on mute. Hi, Ebony. Thank you again for
You're
doing
welcome.
this. This is really exciting. I've had LinkedIn forever, but I've definitely not have used it to the point of you and Michelle's beautiful designs, which I love, and it's such a great place to just see and observe and get ideas from. My question is actually though, obviously with networking and everything and creating your focus groups and with your peers, but also using LinkedIn to finding maybe new jobs and accessing that world a little bit. But also I'm debating on you getting the premium versus just the regular LinkedIn. And I was just curious if you've noticed a difference between having premium, if you've ever used premium, and if you have, if you've noticed a difference with and without it, and if it's beneficial when for people who are in search of potential, a new career or just want to create a higher level of network within their field.
So thank you for that question. And I will say I've never used premium. And I'm going to tell you why. I follow a lot of influencers on LinkedIn, and I think there's ways of getting around using it because it's expensive, right? I think maybe if you are in an HR position like Desiree, maybe you get it for free from the agency. But if you're paying for it, I think it's something like $40, $50 a month. So
yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's a lot. So I follow a great influencer. Her name is Madeline Mann. And when I wanted to pivot and kind of find out, I was interested in doing other things. What she says is, find out who the people are in that industry who do what you're interested in and do it well, right? Go to their LinkedIn profile, look at it, engage with them. But you'll be surprised. I've reached out to so many people and said, hey, listen, I am willing to invest in myself. I'm interested in this. I don't know where to start. I know that you're great at it, and I want to avoid some of those pitfalls that you may have come in contact with. Would you be interested in kind of sharing any information with me, even if that is something that I have to pay for myself, or having a chat with me? And everyone has said yes. No one has said no. People love talking about what they do, especially if they love what they do. And when you do that, I start making connections with people and they go, hey, listen, avoid doing X, Y, and Z. You're going to lose money if you do this. I'm going to tell you how to do it the right way because I have the formula now. So if you're interested, again, just follow those people in that profession. I would say what I usually do is I start to follow people who come up as like LinkedIn influencers, and then I gauge for myself. I see their post. I go, does this align with me and what I want to do? And once I find those people, then I reach out to them. And I never just send a connection request without having like a little blurb. Right. So I always send them something. I'm interested. I hope you're, happy to connect. I want to know this, this, and this when you get a chance. And a lot of them, they will reach back out to you and you can find out the information that you need. And that's all free of charge, no premium.
Perfect.
Awesome.
That's really great to know. I didn't even realize there was LinkedIn influencers. No.
Yes. Yeah, they get awards and everything, like the top 500 or top. Yeah, they post them.
Oh, wow. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ebony. All right. So let's go into the next phase of our time together and look at action steps that anybody can take in updating or revamping their existing LinkedIn profile. Desiree has offered to be our subject during this portion. So I'm going to share my screen again and show her profile. And Ebony, any thoughts that you have to advise Desiree on how she can revamp her LinkedIn page would be greatly appreciated. One moment, okay. I'm going to share now. All right. And here she is. There's Desiree.
Desiree, so I love your profile picture, right? It's just focused straight on you. I can see it looks like you're in office, right? You're at work. Great profile picture. I would say let's go ahead and amp up that banner. right?
Okay.
So let's go ahead and put something,
Mhm.
again, it can be something that's related to parks. It could be
Okay.
something that's going to show your personality, but I would go ahead and I would amp up that banner. The next
Okay.
thing, I'm looking at the human resource management expertise, chief at NYC Parks and Recreation. That your headline is great. It tells exactly what you do.
Mhm.
However, you can, if you want, right? That's where you can get a little bit playful, right? Get
Okay.
a little playful here. You can add a little bit more here if you want.
Mhm.
You have your followers and your connections. Okay, so you don't have many connections. How active are you
Mhm.
on LinkedIn?
I'm actually, I could say this year becoming more active because I'm using it more so for school and business purposes, and
Okay.
Mhm.
Do you find it hard? Are you toggling between using it for work and then using it personal?
Yes. So when you
Okay.
were speaking about that earlier,
Mhm.
trying how much of myself would I expose, because my network is diverse between work, friends, family, colleagues. So I've been like kind of funny with how much to put on there, what not to put on their perspective. So definitely.
I mean, and then you may be a little tricky because since you work in human resources, right? You may be
Mhm.
a people look and go, oh wow, human resources, that's where recruitment lives. And then you'll start getting a lot of people reaching out to you looking for
That too.
jobs and things of that
Yes.
nature, right? And when you
Yes.
do you do recruitment on LinkedIn?
No, I haven't. The most I have done, like, if I would say yes, mainly seasonal wise. So like when we hiring for the season, I will post, the hiring flyer that's approved by the
Mhm.
agency. I'll post it onto my LinkedIn. But in that perspective, but I do get emails of people reaching out to me, for hire, in that perspective. And then
Mhm.
I'll have to say, I'm not the direct hiring manager. So I go into that
Mhm.
space.
Okay. All right. So that, and it could be more so on, and it just a play on words. Once you see human resource as a job seeker, I am going,
Mhm.
okay, she's someone who I can email about something. So that's where it comes to like changing up the
Yes.
name on the
Okay.
profile and things of that nature. But I would want you to one connect a little bit more with people. You have 208 connections, right? After 500 to just say 500 plus, right? So you want to go
Mhm.
in, and even if you feel a little reluctant first to start posting, right? You want
Mhm.
to make your connections. First step is to make your connections with your parkies, right? So everyone who's
Okay.
on there that from DPR who you can connect with, do that. And then I know you said you're balancing between having coworkers, having friends, and are
Mhm.
you in any groups on LinkedIn?
No, I'm not. I'm
Okay.
not in any
Okay.
groups on LinkedIn, but I just mainly follow a lot more the page of my interests.
Okay.
I do that. Hmm.
All right. So then if we can look at, like, say, I see your activity here in your post. Wow, you are a candidate for a doctoral degree. That
Yes.
should be in your tagline. That, first of all, that's
Okay.
amazing. School is
Thank
hard,
you.
right? So you want to, and then you also, because now you can use it. So how does this work for you, right? So you can use this to connect with others, because I know you're probably working on your capstone, you're doing surveys, you're doing all different types of things that
Hmm.
LinkedIn could be helpful for you, right? It's not just a platform where you say, hey, look at me, but how does it help you as well? So if you have other people in your space, I know you probably have the people who are probably in the program that you can reach out to from the school as well. But this is a great place to get people for your surveys if that's what you need, because you
And
know how
that's what
hard it
I'm
is to get.
using. Yeah, that's
This
exactly.
is
I'm
what you're
actually
using it
using
for.
LinkedIn for my research study.
Okay, so that's exactly what I would be using it for, right? So just looking at it here, because it's great. You want to post about what's going on in your agency, but I think a lot of us, everybody, you have many hats that you wear, whether when you're at work, when you go home. If you're in school, LinkedIn is a valuable resource for you, because when I was doing my capstone, people will say they'll do your survey and you have to follow up a million times to get them to
Hmm.
actually do it. So that's why I do any survey that comes to me, just because I know how important it is. But I would actually add to your tagline, add about your schooling, because now that's a great accomplishment that you want to highlight as well. And you also want to get people who are in the same boat as you to connect with you as well.
Okay.
Right. And then are you posting? Did I see any post about your research? You have your links there?
Yes, I
Okay, you do
actually
have it there.
posted. Hmm.
And how often are we posting?
I only posted twice. I posted yesterday, the day before yesterday, and I didn't post again today.
Were you posting in preparation for this meeting? I'm putting you on the
No,
spot.
actually, it is so fun. This came like right on time because once I got approval from the board to now do data collection, I have a LinkedIn as the approval. So now I was even nervous hosting it. So that's like having this conversation today for us doing this event. I was even nervous to post, my research study.
No, I mean, this is amazing. And I'm going to go, I'll make sure I'm going to go and do your survey. But I will say, when I was doing my capstone and I was doing it on drone technology, and I wanted to see how the city can incorporate drone technology to do assessment of properties. Because right now, the Department of Finance, they assess over 1 million properties and they still do it on foot. They have assessors that go out every single year. So I was looking to see how we can include technology in government. And I reached out to private sector, right? Because drone technology, that's something that the private sector, they do really, really well when it comes to government. And when I reached out, I got over 8,000 engagement on that post from the private sector and people willing to cross over and help me with my capstone, which I wouldn't have been able to get in government because they're not using it as much as I was theorizing that we could use it. Right. So now this is the perfect opportunity. Don't be scared. Go ahead and post, reach out to the community. You may find some groups. If you don't mind me asking, what is your research study on?
Mentorship and sponsorship for women who desire to enter leadership positions.
Oh, perfect. Like, this meeting is the perfect platform, right? What you want to do then is you want to reach out to first across city government, right? Reach out to the executives, the people who are in executive leadership, right? Your C-suite people, because people who run mentorship programs. I know Department of Finance has a mentorship program. I'll put you in contact offline with some of the people who run that as well, and get that information out to them so that they can assist you and connect you with their network to assist you with that goal as well. And then once you get past this milestone, right, there'll be other ways to engage with LinkedIn. But when I'm speaking to people about LinkedIn and branding, it really is more so about what's going on right now in your work life, right? In your professional life overall. If you tell me something in your personal life that it can cross over, then I'll help find a space on that. Because again, like I brought up photography, there's actual photographers on LinkedIn. That's their work. But there's people who say, oh, that's just my hobby because I have a 9 to 5. But they merge on LinkedIn. But for you specifically, I would, one, you need to change your tagline because you want to deter people from reaching out to you for job opportunities unless you post something about a job opportunity, so that you can have focused engagement, right? And then also put in, we're going to focus for you specifically until you're finished school, and you defend your dissertation. We're going to go strictly about school for you. But you can still engage, again, city government mentorships, people in leadership roles, people who run mentorships, programs, whether it's private or public sector. You can still engage with the workforce in that way. So that would be my recommendations for you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Awesome. And Desiree, too, that was great information, Ebony, and great guidance for her. Your banner, as Ebony was mentioning, the LinkedIn, it is malleable. So your banner can reflect on whatever season that you're in at the moment. So if your focus at this time is getting these surveys filled out, your banner can reflect that. Also double check when you're updating your tagline for LinkedIn. For a while, they allowed URLs to be posted in there as well. So when you're editing yours, check to see if you can, and maybe just put in the link to your latest survey there. That way it makes it easier for people who if you happen to meet somebody and say, hey, go to my LinkedIn page to fill out the survey, because if they have not accepted your invitation yet, they won't see your post. So at least if it's in the headline, then they can get to it that way. And if you can't put the actual URL for your surveys, then where it's a interactive URL, at least then just as a sidebar recommendation, maybe just get a domain name Desiree'sresearch.com, whatever, and then put that, and then that's something you can just refer people to, and they can gain access to all the different surveys and that you want to have posted and have responses on.
Correct.
Catherine,
And
do you have
feature
a
it.
question? Yes, and feature it. Go ahead, Catherine.
Okay, I have another question. Thank you all for indulging me. I'm really curious, like on this point of balancing school and work. I think similar to Desiree, like I've also had situations where I've also adjuncted in addition to my main job, and I've also been involved in a lot of volunteer groups and organizations, sometimes in leadership roles. And I'm wondering, like, how do I merge all that, especially when some of my, like, when they're not all like similar, like, so my day job isn't always in alignment with my volunteer work, isn't always in alignment with some of the things that I'm studying or teaching on. And so it's like, do you have any recommendations for situations like that where like there may be some common themes, but it's not like an obvious connection?
So LinkedIn doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to follow a straight line, right? So if you have, I think what makes it interesting is if you have a variety of things that you're doing, right? That's diversity, right? You can post, they have things there where you can post what volunteer, you can put that in your experience field, right? So you can put anything that you volunteer to do. I would definitely, do you have on your page right now that you are adjunct professor? You have that under your experience, right?
Yes, I put that in my experience, though I'm not actively teaching. Well, the last couple of years I had to kind of push back from that, but I have done it in the past.
Okay, so what I would say, everything doesn't have to be similar, right? If you are teaching at the moment and that's the area that is taking the most of your time, that's where I will be spending my energy on LinkedIn. And it's fine if someone goes to your page and they go, wow, she does it all. Because guess what? You are doing it all, right? If you're working and you're teaching and you have some other hobbies, you have a outlet. I always, again, I say the groups are, if you want to get enriched, right? Because your groups are going to fuel you and feed into you because they're all into that thing that you're into, right? So that's going to help you engage with other people in that space. However, on your main LinkedIn page, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever season it is for you, you can post. It doesn't, don't look for a through line. If it's one, that's great, but you don't have to look for a through line at all.
Excellent
Thank you.
points, Ebony. And as we wrap up, so Catherine, just to kind of give you a little bit of an idea, not to say that my page is anything of, great things to show about, but just to give you an idea, I live in a multifaceted world, as all of us do, where there's many, we're all gems. We're multifaceted is the way I like to describe it. So on my LinkedIn page, my focus is primarily not necessarily with parks per se. Parks is my 9 to 5, but I do have parks in here and as my employment and also in my experience. But my focus at the moment is around writing. I have written several books, so I have my banner reflecting that and the varying books that I'm a part of because I'm trying to get known as that. But at the same time, yes, I do work for a living. And also for my job, I go to different events. So Service Now, because Parks Knockwood is going to be picking up Service Now for our ITSM. And I've been networking with people in Service Now. So I would create a couple of posts and keep it light. We're showing that I'm doing that as well. So there are many different things that you can include. And as to really elaborate on Ebony's point, this is that space to do that. And this is LinkedIn, view it more as the professional layout of your life. Whereas Instagram and Facebook are more of a pendulum swing toward totally social, totally casual, be as crazy and free spirited as you want to be. In LinkedIn, you're a balanced free spirit where you want to still show the lightheartedness, but keeping focus on on your actual accomplishments, and don't be shy about yourself. LinkedIn is definitely the space where you have full 100% permission to toot your own horn.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, what's even better is that when other people want to come alongside you and say, yeah, I agree with that. I've seen Catherine I was in her classes when she was an adjunct professor, and they can give a recommendation saying, yeah, I was in her course and she did that. So by putting yourself out there allows people to support you in whatever capacity they can. If it's just going to be the skill set recommendation, if you put on your skills that you can do teaching or yes, teaching as your skill set, and that's just a pill that will show up in LinkedIn, then someone can just put a check mark saying, yep, I can attest that she can do that. So yes, those are all of the options that are there within LinkedIn. All right, we are now heading toward 5 minutes before our time is over, and we covered a lot. And for those who, if you kind of got lost in keeping notes, this did get recorded, so the replay will be available. And as we wrap up, yes, Terese, any final closing thoughts as we wrap up?
Oh, no, I really enjoyed today, and I'm so grateful that Ebony could join. I enjoy seeing her daily posts that really are inspiring, and they're so simple, and it's something I think I want to try to do someday when I have time. Because I
Thank you
think
for the
that's just
invite.
a great way to stay connected. I also have my interns that I think I've channeled through LinkedIn, and I feel like I wanted to ask, like, what do you think about amping? Like, I sometimes ask my interns to amp things for the agencies, and that really like will boost like recruitment efforts and stuff like that. And then through Women in Leadership, we can do the same. Um, I know that we have a lot of people on this call who are also a part of our Women in Leadership survey. We might send out a question asking if you want to boost and amp some of our events through your LinkedIn. And if not, you can opt out. But I think that'll be like our next step with this. And I'm really so grateful for today. And I've got a lot of really great feedback already. And thank you so much for your time. It's so wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank you.
guys for inviting me. And speaking of amping, I'm going to go ahead and amp Desiree's post as well, right? Because I want to get her survey out to my community. So even if we can just do that for one another, that is a great thing to do.
Thank
So
you
I'll
so
do that right
much.
after this call. You're welcome.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in. Your takeaways for today, go back into your LinkedIn account, look at your profile, see how you can tweak it to make it to really be a true representative of where you are in this point in time in your career and professional life. Also, make recommendations, connect with other parties. You are safe, and just ask for recommendations, make recommendations, and don't forget to include all of your talents in your LinkedIn profile. All right, so with that, we're going to wrap up our time together. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. It was great seeing your faces.
Yeah.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.